Coming up, we're on the home stretch toward the playoff push. Last week provided a bunch of big-time performances. We'll reflect on some of the very best.
We'll also let you know what makes this guy one of the best in the city, full of great pass catchers. We'll put the spotlight on Lincoln's Lee Ransom.
All that plus a look ahead at this week's slate and our pigskin pick-up predictions for some of the top matchups. Varsity Sports starts right now. And how is everybody doing? Alongside Jason Andera, I am Jay Elson. What's hard to believe, Jason, we're already talking about the final couple weeks of the regular season.
Just a few games left for most teams, but in North Dakota, the 9-man teams are getting ready to play their last regular season game before they hit the playoff push. So, yeah, a lot of important games coming up over the next couple weeks.
Now, we're going to get to what is coming up this week in a little bit. But first, as always, we're going to take a look back at what happened last week. We start with our South Dakota rewind. Roosevelt failed to score on its first two possessions against Brookings, but the Riders found their rhythm after that. They scored 3 touchdowns in a 2-minute span at the end of the first quarter to vault out to a 19-0 lead, and they never looked back. Riders stopped the Bobcats' ground game in its tracks and stayed opportunistic on defense as well. They secure their 6th win of the year by a score of 40-7.
Here visited Sioux Falls for a Thursday night special, but the Warriors came out firing on all cylinders. Jack Skelhaus was a tidy 9 of 12 passing with 3 scores, while the defense may have played their best game of the year, holding Brevin Kaiser and the Govs to just 92 total yards in their big 49-7 win.
Washington is rolling. Steve Keeter had history within his reach Friday as he led his team to historic Crane Youngworth Field in Yankton. And with a win, Keeter would equal longtime Bucks coach Max Hawk for the most wins in South Dakota high school football history. And number 284 came awfully easy. The Knights ran all over Yankton, handing the Bucks their second straight shutout loss, 35-0. Keeter can now break the record Friday against Rapid City Stevens.
You know, it's going to be broken by a lot of the young coaches, so it's not that big a deal, but it is a milestone. I think it speaks highly of the programs at Yankton and O'Gorman. I think that's the takeaway you get.
Mitchell and Lincoln literally traded scores the entire first half as the Patriots took a 35-28 halftime lead. But the Colonels controlled the ball most of the second half to take the lead and eventually got a 42-35 win over the defending AAA champs. Kanan Nelson ran in 3 touchdowns, rushed for 108 yards, while Spencer Negebauer collected 164 on the ground with 2 touchdowns.
Big win for the Colonels. Brandon Valley's Alex Waltner only threw 6 passes on Friday, but 3 of them went for 6. That helped the Lynx shoot out to a huge lead against Rapid City Central. They cruised past the Cobblers 50-21. That puts Brandon Valley at 4-2 on the season as they prepare to host top-ranked Roosevelt on Friday.
That will be a challenge. Well, forget as good. The Sioux Falls Christian Madison game was better than advertised. The Chargers controlled the game and the clock in the first half and took a 20-7 lead into the break, but Madison came alive in the second half with help from their top playmakers. The Bulldogs came all the way back to take a 26-20 lead with just over a minute to play, only to see Christian answer on a Sawyer Prince touchdown with just 9 seconds left. The Bulldogs would block the extra point that forces overtime, and that's where Mitch Hansen found Jaden Yonke for the game-winning score, and Madison escaped Sioux Falls Christian with a 32-26 overtime victory. What a game between 2 heavyweight title contenders.
They smacked us right in the mouth. They pushed us all over the field. We didn't have an answer for them. We limped into halftime and made some adjustments. We went back to an old front that we've been playing all year, and fortunately that worked for us.
Our defense really stepped up to the end, and then our offense just kept putting points on the board, and it was fun.
St. Thomas More struck early and often against Douglas on Friday. Jake Anderud took the opening kickback for the first of his 3 scores on the night. He also recorded 2 picks on defense to help the Cavaliers beat the Patriots 34-14.
Another convincing win for Moore. West Central played a complete game to hand Lennox their second loss of the season by a count of 35-7. The Trojans scored 4 of their 5 touchdowns in the second half thanks to Jordan Luth, Jonah Rechtenbaugh, and Joseph Hanisch. With that win, West Central now improves to 5-1. They'll host one-loss T-Area on Friday.
All right, well, that is a wrap for our South Dakota Rewind for this week. That means it's time to hand out our varsity game ball for South Dakota, and it goes to Jared Nielsen from Canastota. How about this number? 18 carries, 272 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
6 of those touchdowns scored in the first half for Jared. They dominated on the ground against Mount Vernon Plankinton, a team that has really held their own in the 9-man ranks this year. Congratulations to Nielsen. He is having a fantastic year as Canastota keeps rolling.
Here's a look at our honorable mention candidates this year. One that really stands out to me, Jerry Campenman from McCook Central Montrose. Jason, he carried the ball 51 times.
They are riding him, let me tell you. Every week you see him put up huge numbers. Haven't put up the kind of season people thought at the beginning of the year, but he has been terrific. And Kane Kittleson, we have to mention, 5 touchdowns on the road against Aberdeen Central. A great performance as well.
Yeah, Harrisburg gets a nice win on the road there. All right, well, we are down to one undefeated AAA team in North Dakota. Find out how Century spoiled Dickinson's hopes for an unbeaten season when we come back.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Shields.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network.
All right, thanks, guys. Well, we came into last week with 2 unbeaten AAA teams remaining in North Dakota, Jason, but only one would stay that way, and that's where we start with this week's North Dakota Rewind. Bismarck Century got an important part of their offense back on Friday as quarterback Dalton Feeney returned from injury, and he wasted no time getting back into the swing of things. Feeney completed 15 of 25 passes for 299 yards and 5 touchdowns. 4 of those scores went to the guy he replaced under center, Adam Geiger.
Me and Adam have always been clicking. I mean, last year we were looking forward to this year, and then we heard about the injury, and I kind of just got down and was thinking maybe would this ever come back, and it did tonight. And I just think, Adam ran some good routes, and sweep was the difference maker in Adam. I mean, the safety always keyed on sweep, and Geiger got open looks, and he made the catches.
Well, the Patriots definitely happy to have Dalton Feeney back. Well, West Fargo, they turned in another rock-solid performance, this time beating Grand Forks Central 42-2. Quarterback Creighton Fowl was flawless on the night, going 9 for 9 with 93 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Chase Tyken, the running back, he failed to put up 4 touchdowns for the first time since September 4. What a disappointment. He only scored 2 times on the day.
Get it together, Chase. Well, Fargo Davies used the run game to eat up the clock and get a dominating 33-12 win over Grand Forks Red River. The Eagles had 3 guys finish with at least 71 yards rushing, led by Ty Jokums, 168. Quarterback Tanner Boyanovsky, meanwhile, attempted just 2 passes all night, Jason, but he made the most of them. Both went for touchdowns.
All right, Fargo North and Devils Lake, they locked up in a close game. The Spartans got it done with big play passing game to get a 34-28 win. Jaden McGregor completed just 8 passes, but 5 of them went for scores to 4 different receivers. Good job by them.
That's a good trip here. Well, school records have been kept at Fargo South for the last 20 years, and in that time, the Bruins had never been shut out. See where I'm going with this?
I do.
Well, that run came to an end Friday at the hands of West Fargo Cheyenne. Cole Setter piled up 30 carries for 94 yards and 3 scores, while the defense held South's Gus Siaway and Xander Lukowski to just 66 yards combined. Mustangs blanked the Bruins 28-zip.
They controlled that game on the ground. Let's move to St. Mary's, where they had no trouble with Watford City, getting a big 34-6 win. They used 249 yards rushing, got 3 touchdowns from Jacob Heinert, while Logan Petrick played quarterback for the injured Cole Gendrew. He did just fine, thank you. 10 for 10, 136 yards. St. Mary's now 5-1 on the season.
Yeah, that'll get it done. All right, let's get out our game ball now, Jandy, and welcome back Dalton Feeney.
Yeah, wasn't sure when he'd come back this season. Decides to make it this game, and boy, did he make a statement. 15 for 25 passing, not too shabby, almost 300 yards, but 5 touchdowns, and the most important part, 4 of those to Adam Geiger, who had been the quarterback. Great connection right off the bat for those 2.
Let's take a look now at some of the other big individual efforts on the night from last week. I look at Albert Rorick from Kidder County, 10 carries, 284 yards, and 4 touchdowns as Kidder County beats South Border 50-16, an impressive 28.4 for tote.
I don't care what level you're playing.
Yeah.
That's getting it done.
Yes, it is. All right, well, stay tuned. We'll take an early look at this week's schedule for Varsity Sports Live and make our picks for some of the top matchups in a bit. But first, Find out what makes Lincoln's Lee Ransom one of the premier pass catchers in South Dakota. That's coming up right after this.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Shields.
Welcome back. Well, in the NFL, the wide receiver position has become synonymous with the word diva. But at Lincoln High School, Lee Ransom might be known as the anti-diva.
Yeah, Ransom's team-first mentality and selflessness make him a great teammate, but it's his lengthy vertical leap and fearless nature on the field that make him one of the best wideouts in a state filled with great pass catchers. Chemistry with his quarterback is one of the most important factors in a receiver's success. Safe to say Lincoln standout senior Lee Ransom has that with his signal caller, Cole DeBerg. But with DeBerg being thrust into that position late last summer due to injury, it's been a work in progress.
Oh yeah, we've got a really close relationship. Right after we knew Mason was out, we got together. We get together a lot. We got to focus on our stuff and our film and everything with coaches. And then he got really shoved in there, and I think he's stepping up. And as the season goes on, he's getting a lot better. I think with the ball and everything, our chemistry is getting way up.
The DeBerg-Ransom connection has been a bright spot in what's been a sometimes cloudy season for the two-time defending champs. Every team in Sioux Falls has a big-time playmaker at wide receiver, but no one relies on their go-to guy more than the Patriots.
He's got some ups. He's got the basketball skills. He's got a little linebacker mentality to him at times, especially when that ball's up in the air, and he definitely wants to go and get it. So. Like I said, I'm glad I have him, but he'll continue to work. He'll even get better as the year goes on, and we're going to need that.
Oh, when it's up, you got to get into position. You got to kind of, depends on what the corner's doing, but you got to go up there and get the position. You always got to high point it so you get it over them, and you got to use your height. So if you're 6'4" like me, obviously you got to get up there and get it.
It's not just his physical skills that make Ransom a leader. He has a true sense of putting the team first.
You gotta learn. You learn a lot of stuff. Just people in front of you, and then and then you gotta help the kids younger than you, and then the tradition just carries on, and hopefully throughout the seasons.
Well, thanks, Jay. That's a lot of information about a really good receiver. Mm-hmm. We know there's a lot of good receivers, but look at this guy. Over a touchdown per game so far.
Yeah, he's got the physical tools, Jason. Obviously, his height is a tremendous asset to him, but he's got a lot of athletic ability as well. I mean, you look at the per-catch average, almost 22 yards. But it's not only in the passing game that he can be so effective. We've seen him take a reverse for a touchdown, 60-some yards as well. So you get this guy in the open field, things are going to happen, and they're going to be good.
Well, 135 yards per game. When I heard at the beginning of the season that Mason Nelson was not the quarterback, I did not expect Lincoln to have a receiver averaging 135 yards per game, but that's exactly what Lee Ransom's done. He's kind of picked up right where they left off last year with Nickel Myers.
And you got to give a little credit to Cole DeBerg as well. That was a tough spot for him to be thrust into, having to take on the quarterback job. That's never an easy thing, especially when you're not used to playing that spot. So he gets some of the credit, but Ransom's ability certainly has stood out for Lincoln this season. Well, Ransom and the Patriots going to look to get back on track this week against Rapid City Central. We'll take a look at that and the rest of this week's schedule for Varsity Sports Live, which includes a preview of the big North Dakota showdown between Minot and Bismarck next.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Shields.
And welcome back to Varsity Sports. Well, the game plan for this week's episode of Varsity Sports Live has already been set. Here's a sneak peek now at where our cameras are going to be headed on Friday night. Could be an historic night in Rapid City as O'Gorman Steve Keeter attempts to become South Dakota's new all-time wins leader.
I think could should be changed to should. He should become the all-time wins leader. He does have to play Stevens, a team that's won a couple games, but O'Gorman shouldn't give him much of a game. So, yeah, Steve Keeter should come out of this one the all-time leader in South Dakota history. And he's still got he's got plenty of years left. He'll pad that lead a little bit over the next few seasons.
Yep, some other guys that are active on that list, too, that aren't too terribly far behind him. Kim Nelson, Arlen Lignis also active, high on that list as well. A couple of the other games that are interesting, I think a couple of one-loss teams in T and West Central.
Yeah, T area, a team that hasn't really been tested yet this year, and the one time they did get a loss. but they're going to come out with some fire in this one when they travel just north to Hartford to try to take down a top 5 team. This would get them noticed a little bit if they can pull out a victory with that one. Another one I really want to watch is Brookings at Mitchell. This is kind of that second tier AA, but the first tier is not that much different than the second tier. One of these teams could really get on a hot streak if they can pull out a victory in this one.
I think the interesting thing there is both of those teams have beaten Sioux Falls Lincoln, the defending 11 AAA champions.
Exactly.
So that's something to keep in mind as they play that football game in Mitchell. Well, no doubt about it, the biggest game of the week in North Dakota, Jason, going to take place in the capital city. Bismarck High hosting Minot. The Magi come in as the #1 team in the state and the last remaining unbeaten in Class AAA.
Yeah, this one is fun. I think last year we talked about this game in the semifinals when Minot took on Bismarck as kind of being a momentum turner that vaulted Minot to be one of the best teams in the state, and that, for me, has really carried on to this season. They've come in. They have been the team to beat out west. They've been the team to beat in the state and really haven't shown any weaknesses so far this season. This one could be a little different.
Had a couple close calls early, but they survived both of those
Tough
tests and have really started to really click on all cylinders, it seems like, particular here over the last couple of weeks. Well, for more or a closer look at that big matchup now, we're going to bring in John Denega, who covers Minot High for the Minot Daily News. And John, last year Minot did have that breakthrough win in the semifinals. Do you think any of that confidence transfers over to this year for the Magi?
I think that belongs mostly in last season. Honestly, I think talking to the Minot players, it's almost, I think maybe the confidence is maybe with Bismarck for this one, maybe a little revenge factor there, because that was the same reason Minot, they were so motivated for that Century game a couple weeks ago, and they blew them out, what was it, 35-7 or to that tune. So it was just, I think really if you're looking for a motivating factor, I think really it's in Bismarck's favor for this one, maybe for a little revenge game. And they get them at home, that's only going to help them.
All right, football, definitely a game of matchups. What key matchup will you be watching for in this game?
Yeah, I would say right now, who's come on lately has been Braden Lund. With the injury to Logan Bischoff, he's got a little bit of a tender hamstring right now. He hasn't played the past 2 games against Man and Oregon's Legacy. I really believe that'll open up Braden Lund, who has had 2 of his best games the past 2 games. He's caught nearly 200 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns in the past 2 games. He's been Ben Belinsky's go-to guy, and it takes quite a few people to bring him down because he's a big boy.
All right, that'll get John Denega from the Minot Daily News. We are certainly looking forward to this game. Can't wait to see how it all plays out in Bismarck.
Good insight up there. It's going to be fun to watch. We'll check in on that one with some post-game analysis as well on Friday night.
Again, Varsity Sports Live, 10:30 right here on Midco Sports Network. Jason Andera and Tom Neiman taking you all around the high school football scene in North and South Dakota. All right, well, when we come back, we'll give you our take on the best upcoming games for this Friday night. Pigskin Pick'em is next.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Shields.
All right, we wrap things up tonight as we have every week this fall with another round of Pigskin Pick'em. Not a great week for us in North Dakota. Jace got both games right in South Dakota last week, but Dalton Feedy threw us for a bit of a loop.
He threw us for a loop, and the Fargo Davies ground game threw us for a loop.
Absolutely, but would you just stop, get your upset pick right?
I'm going to stop this week.
Every single time I get it right, you get it right as well. All right, let's see what happens. 2 games South Dakota, 2 games North Dakota, 1 for each correct pick, 2 again for the upset pick. We're going to start in the ESD, Brookings at Mitchell.
This is going to be a different game. Sometimes we try to compare scores with what they've done earlier this season, but I think these 2 teams have changed too much throughout the season to be able to do that. Mitchell brings a great quarterback in Cannon Nelson who loves to run the ball. He's so physical. It's tough for Brookings to stop that type of offense. But on the other hand, Gerald Maxwell is going to put up some big numbers on the other side. I think you're going to have a huge running totals from both teams, but I think the Bobcats somehow pull it out late.
I like the Bobcats as well. I still really think it's interesting that these 2 teams have beaten Lincoln. I don't think either one of us would have predicted that coming into the season. I like Maxwell a lot. I think their defense at Brookings is a little bit better, and I think that might be just enough to give them the win, even on the road. Good 9-man matchup. Alcester Hudson travels to Canastota. Can the Seahawks be beaten?
I think Alcester Hudson is still the best team in 9B. I know most people don't agree with me on that, and they might not as well after this week because I think Canastota is going to win the game, but I think Grant Johnson and company can really get it done on the ground, but they're not going to be able to stop Canastota on defense. Canastota gets it done.
I like Canastota as well. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Canastota, and everybody's having a tough time scoring.
They will, but Grant Johnson will find the end zone.
He might, but I think we agree Canastota gets the win in this one. All right, North Dakota, Minot at Bismarck. Can't wait for this one.
Oh, this is tough. I've been on this Minot bandwagon since before the season started. I think their defense is deep. I think their running game is underrated with Austin Nagel and Matt Marler getting it done in the backfield, and I think they have enough quarterback play to make some plays, big plays in this game, and it's going to take a big play to win it.
I can't wrap my head around the idea of Bismarck losing more than one game in the regular season. You know, that's tough. They are at home. I like the Demons to get this done, and I can't even explain to you exactly why. It's just a gut feeling, and sometimes that pays off in a thing like this. So I'm going to go Bismarck. All right, Wahpeton at Shanley. These are always fun.
Terrific game in this one. I think Wahpeton needs a big win on the road. I think they have a chance to do it against Shanley, and I'm going to go with the quarterback here, Carson Zarek and the Huskies.
I don't think Shanley in this one. So we are going to have a chance to maybe move around a little bit. I think defense is going to be a big part of this, and I think the Deacons have the better defense. Plus, they're at home. I think that's enough in what I think really is probably about a pick-em game. And that's going to do it for me, so I like Shanley. Quickly now, our upset picks.
I'm going to go way off the board. I'm going to say Huron gets their second win in a row, taking out Yankton at home with Highland Hines throwing the ball all over the yard.
Wow,
I'm really going out
go down a third straight week. All right, well, I like in North Dakota Class 1A, I like Bishop Ryan over West Hope Newburgh Glenburn, and I know I just picked that team a couple of weeks ago to get an upset. I got it right. I'm on the other side of the fence this time. Go Lions. I think they get the win. All right, that's going to do it for us. For Jason Andera, I'm Jay Elson. Remember to bring it back here Friday night for another episode of Varsity Sports Live.